High Level is a full CRM and marketing platform, and I've used some of the best in the SaaS industry. And we are live from LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. It's Revening's Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday, Revenue Party people. I saw you in the comments already, Brian. Thanks for being here. Be sure if you are here, I saw an error on YouTube, so I'm glad that you're tuning in on YouTube, Brian. Anyone else seeing an error there? If so, you can hop over to Facebook or one of the other channels. But let us know where you're tuning in from, what it is that you do, and how sales and marketing could be more relevant to you. So during the conversation, if you hear something that comes up that you have a thought or a question in, plug it in the comments. We'll pull it up on the screen and conversate with you in real time about it. But of course, if you can't stick around, you can always find us on your favorite podcast platform, be it Spotify, Apple Podcast, or any place on those social channels I asked you. You can find the replay as well. But we're really excited to get into it. We have some really special guests. But before we do, I want to share with you about Cherry Assistant. So if you are growing your business, then you likely need to delegate. And oftentimes that means finding people with very specific skill sets who can work at the exact time that you need them on hours, or maybe not. Maybe you are more online and flexible. I mean, every business is unique and has its own unique needs. For us, Cherry Assistant has been great. They've been able to help us scale our live streaming marketing agency service by helping us find a producer who is here behind the scene, Layla. She helps organize the guests and coordinate all of the graphics. She's moving around the cameras, and she'll also get this up on podcasts, as well as coordinate with video editors to make sure that we get clips edited, and not only edited, but posted. So, if it's not someone like Layla, and we work with more than just Layla, there's also Cherry Assistant video editors, but I'll show you an ad at intermission, and that'll have a full menu of services of what they do. But if you're looking to delegate, reach out to Cherry Assistant. Let them know that you heard about them through WinsDay, and you'll get $250 off your first month. And so, yeah, check it out. I mean, it doesn't hurt. Also, want to make sure you've heard about High Level. Most people have heard about, I don't even want to name their names, but the big SaaS CRMs and marketing automation platforms that cost 5 figures more for businesses. Yeah. So we don't need to be doing that anymore. There are tools like High Level built around AI, some of the most nimble, features and functionality. We don't even need a solution dump on you, because if you're really in sales and marketing, you know the pain of having to be a jockey in your CRM or going to the dev team to put in some Apex code for some sort of customization, or, not having all of the marketing features that you truly need in your all-in-one solution. Yeah, well, you can get all of that and more for $97 a month with High Level. You get a CRM and marketing automation platform all in one, and you don't just get one account. You can get 3 because it's an agency platform. So we've actually white labeled it. So for us, it's app.reveting.com, and all of our clients get an account. Since we're a marketing agency, we want to be able to show them here are the leads that we've given you. And when they convert and close, here's the revenue you can attribute to what we're working on. And so, yeah, we find it very helpful. Also, we can schedule their posts out of it. And I digress. Check it out, $97 a month, but you can get it free for a month if you try my affiliate link here on the screen with the QR code. Or if you're listening later on podcast audio only, just go to reveting.com/high level. All right. Well, enough of that. Let's get into it because we have some hot topics and hot guests. So let's welcome our guests to the stage. We have Tyler and Zachary with us. Let's bring them in. Thank you so much for joining us late in the evening, Tyler and Zachary.
Hello.
Looks like we have a little slope here. We didn't get time really pre-show. We were really talking about the topics, which I never want to stop that because that's what the point of the conversation is, right? But really, as a live streamer who during pre-show, usually for our clients, we sit there and help them with their lighting and their mics. We didn't talk about, we need to line up our heads and we want to see less of the, ceiling behind us, but I digress because that's less important. Let's learn more about you. So both of you, thank you again for tuning in. And in good old-fashioned Wednesday style, we want to know your full life story. We can, of course, go to your LinkedIn, and I want to encourage everyone who's tuning in here to go to their LinkedIns and look at their resumes on LinkedIn. But that's not what we want to hear here. We want to hear the real human you from birth to what brought you to now in 2 minutes. What do you think, Zachary? Can you kick us off?
Sure. Yeah, so long story short, basically built up a full service agency in the marketing space, looking at inbound lead generation, which has really transitioned over the last several years into content first, obviously, and the content now is tying a lot into the AI side of things. So really excited to talk about these topics. As you can see behind me here, born and raised in Colorado. So these are the Rocky Mountains on the end of the landscape there, past the buildings. So you got a nice Rocky Mountain sunset behind me here, and yeah, super excited to be here. Got in under time.
In under time, wow! So definitely you got your 30-second pitch down. I'm sure. I'm always amazed by people who can get their full life story in that quick. So thank you so much, Zachary. We appreciate it. And Tyler, in the same format, could you do the same and tell us your full life story from birth to what brought you to now?
Yeah, I'll start from birth. So I was raised in California. From there, I moved around a lot. I lived in Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Atlanta, Mississippi, Nashville, and then I went to Mexico for 3 years, and then back Central South America for a few years, and then I came back to the U.S. Probably like right around COVID. I pretty much did data visualization consulting most of that time, and then the last few years I dived into AI when ChatGPT came out because I saw it was potentially going to take over my job, so I kind of dived straight into it, and then I just been deep into AI transformation and intelligence since then. So I have a AI transformation consulting company and a data visualization consulting company, and it's all about, I weaponize data and intelligence. It's kind of my forte.
I love that. And that's a good lead in actually to our first topic, weaponizing audience intelligence for content
do that
marketing.
On purpose.
Yeah, thank you so much for your intro because it very magically just led into this first topic. So could you set the stage for us, Tyler, and kick us off on this topic?
Yeah. So I'm not, as you see, I'm not marketing background. I came from analytics, and to me, marketing hypothetically was easy as far as like, I can do ads, I know how to do pixels, I can do email marketing. I did a lot of YouTube videos, so I grew my YouTube channel with, I think I have like 19 videos, but I have like 13,000 subscribers. So it was like, it just came easy for me, but it was because I just always did high value stuff. And when I started working for Marknology, which was a contract, they did e-commerce analytics or e-commerce marketing. I tried to help them with their marketing, but I didn't know e-commerce. So before I knew my niche, so I was fine, but I didn't know e-commerce. So I tried to do the marketing, and I I couldn't speak their language. Like I couldn't resonate. And so what I started doing was I would go out to Reddit and I would scrape the Reddit, or Reddit has an API where I would go and get all the information from Reddit about all the whatever brands we're talking about. And then I would kind of figure out like exactly what pain points they had, how do they talk, and what was their language. And that's kind of where this concept started coming in. It's like, all right, instead of guessing what brands are saying, let me go to the source and figure it out. And then I went and started grabbing data from like Amazon seller forums, and then figuring out what are they complaining about to Amazon. And then I started going to like YouTube comments and then TikTok. And then so I started just getting all of this data, and I call it like weaponizing audience intelligence. Like wherever there are people complaining and just being real and authentic, and not like, because right now LinkedIn is just all thought leadership and AI content right now, right? And so there, everyone's just talking real and being honest. And so I'm getting exactly how they're talking, getting exactly what their pains are, and then I kind of revert and then created that into content, and then also kind of wrote it in their own language, use their word choice, use the phrases, so that it sounds like them as they're reading it. And then I started bringing in like blogs and YouTube videos. And so now it's like I'm not even having to know, I'm not gonna have to be an expert, and I'm not having to talk their language. And it doesn't sound like AI because I'm literally like rewriting everything they're complaining about. And so I'm figuring out ways of weaponizing kind of the audience space, as well as I call it repurposing other creators' content, so that I can do really good, authentic content at scale that I know people want. And that's kind of the background of it.
Interesting. Before I share my take, I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of that, Zachary.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money there as far as the ability to really use it at scale for gathering audience data, looking at intent, looking at interest, looking at activity, and then leveraging that back into, how do we get the right message in front of the right people at the right time. Yeah, I mean, exactly right. You can get a lot of information through how people are behaving online, not just through the obvious ones of, did somebody, click on this or click on that, but yeah, what are they actually saying? What are they searching for? What are the places they're going? And then using that information to make sure that you're getting the right information to that audience for basically your own funnel purposes. Yeah, definitely a great use of that information.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we've got, I don't know, looks like 5 of you on LinkedIn, and then I see one on Facebook, one on YouTube, and one on Twitch. So if you're here tuning in live, would love to hear your thoughts on all of this too. But yeah, it's amazing how and what you can do with data these days. And I love that you mentioned intent data. It's super important. And I like how, even pre-show, we were kind of going back and forth between, is this a sales topic or a marketing topic? Because it all just kind of blends together. And I think that was actually one of the other topics. But I think the same thing is like, this is really sales. You're closing the trust gap at scale. And without that anymore, sales gets much more difficult.
Yeah. And I think it's blurred right now. Like, for example, I feel like everyone wanted to do like AI marketing and wanted to use AI to personalize and do it at scale. And then everyone's figured like, oh, that doesn't work. And then now everyone's going back to like, let's just talk to people. And that is what sells, right? Like, so the whole, like, cause I did a thing where I scraped Amazon data and I created these like personalized dashboards. And then I embedded the personalized dashboards in the email campaign, in a cold email campaign, and was sending cold emails to people with dashboards of their data, having it segment saying like, hey, you don't have Amazon video ads. Here goes a podcast that I did about Amazon video ads, and here's your data in a dashboard comparing it to your competitors. To me, that was brilliant. But I didn't even get a lot of feedback. Like I didn't get a lot of responses. Is because of there's just so much emails, like nobody, like nothing's even impressive anymore. And it's like they're just like looking at it, just like, oh yeah, like this is cool, but like a year ago that would be amazing. Now it's just like there's nothing that is, yeah, like you can't even impress people anymore. And so anything that is like personalized at scale like that, it seems like it doesn't even work really. It's literally just like emailing them as a regular person, like, hey, what you doing? And then they'll write you back. Like it's kind of crazy how like everything's reverting back to just like regular, just human to human talking is the only sales funnel that works anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I encourage people in the audience here to talk with us from the comments, because it's real time. It's not AI anymore. But anyway, before we move on to our next topic, which is AI and SEO, navigating the no-click web, is there anything else, Tyler, on weaponizing audience intelligence for content marketing that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So one thing I'm really getting into, I highly dislike ChatGPT now, and I'm a Claude fan. And I really like their writing styles, and I use their writing styles for everything. And one thing that I'm doing is I call it like I'm extracting their language in a very like data science way on Reddit, and I'm figuring out. So like for example, if your target audience is like founders of small businesses in tech, I would go to like those tech subreddits, and generally all those people are kind of in that niche, right? And what I would do is I would figure out like I would do like frequency of like how many times they're saying these different terms, what are their word choice, how do they talk when they're mad, how do they talk when they're happy, like doing it in a very like data sciencey way, and figuring out and then creating this like writing style framework where I can literally like almost write just like them. And then I use that writing style to write my website or to write marketing content, so that, because me, I talk very technical. I didn't realize it until somebody's like, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. And it's because like that's just how I talk. And so I think it sounds simple and straightforward, and everyone's looking at me like, no, that doesn't. And so now it's like my whole thing is like I'm tired of guessing or assuming, because it's generally wrong. Like, let me just figure out exactly how they write and just write it to them. And same thing with the audience, like, let me figure out exactly what they want and give it to them. And so the whole assuming, I just think you're always wrong. I feel like marketing is like do the opposite of everybody, like do the opposite of what you think, right? And so like this is almost that same way as like let the audience, let the data just tell you what to do, and then you do it. If they're asking for it, they're complaining about it, they want it. If they're talking like this, then just talk back to them like this. So yeah, the actual language, I think, and we haven't been able to do that because we never had LLMs. Now we have them at scale and super cheap. Now we can comb through that data like it's nothing, with pennies almost, and be able to do things that we never been able to even do before. So yeah, I just think there's just a lot of opportunity when it comes to just analyzing language and word choice, and like, does this person have the ego or not? Like, does this person like wants their ego stroked, or this person like, and then talking to them in that way. Like, there's just so many different angles that I don't think people are even thinking about right now. That'll be like a third level of marketing. That is just, yeah, it's just going to be crazy in the next few years.
So what's kind of interesting for what you're saying there is, you talk about how it kind of all comes full circle back to the human element there. And I mean, what you're describing is literally sales 101 that everyone learned 20 years ago going into sales. Is, it's energy matching. It's, looking at how people talk and then mirroring.
Yeah.
It's, looking at personality styles. It's all of those things that, people learned how to do. And then somehow got lost, especially post-COVID, as far as interpersonal skills. And now you're basically doing it through data analysis of, how do people post? What do they say? All those things. And you're basically coming right back around to it, which is really interesting too. And one of the other things you mentioned about, speaking in a kind of a more technical way versus, kind of a more of a, not necessarily a layman way, but more of a conversational way about things that only has to be at the level of your audience, not necessarily into the full technical background that, that kind of goes over their head, because you really need to convey to the person that you're speaking to enough that they can get it, but you don't have to go so far into the detail. And this is always one of the challenges we see on the marketing side, and it's kind of the push and the pull of the client versus the audience, is that we are trying to talk to the audience and the client wants to talk to their peers. And so it's very much that they want to talk at the technical level. They want to basically, every article that goes out needs to be a technical manual or needs to be a research paper. And we keep trying to remind them, no, it basically needs to speak to your audience at that layman level where they can understand it, they can grasp it, they can understand that you're the expert, and then draw them in so that they understand what you do and what the benefit is. And they don't necessarily have to know that technical level. And again, what you're describing is very much that human level, and taking it back down to that. And again, using AI is a great way to do that, where not everybody's a professional writer, not everybody has a background in market research and all of these other specialties. And AI does bring that to the masses in a lot of ways. And certainly, if it's used in the right way. And I think, and I'm kind of curious what your thought is on this, is the separation between kind of full access. Anybody can, grab a Claude or a ChatGPT subscription and go out, ask it a question, say, go do this. But then there's that layer of having a professional kind of come back in and say, okay, great, now we have this. How do we take it to the next level? What do we do with this information? Versus, okay, great, I got this, and now ChatGPT, go write me something that introduces a topic, reintroduces a topic, and then concludes a topic, but never actually talks about the topic. Where do you see that piece of the puzzle when it comes to that kind of democratization of access now to all this data and all this information, and now the ability to take that professional level to anybody, but then not necessarily take it to that next step? And that's where you kind of get that noise you were talking about, where everyone's sending out that email, everyone's sending out that message on LinkedIn, everyone's doing that, and it just gets lost in the ether.
Yeah. So my thought process on it is, I'm always trying to figure out a way to do something that ChatGPT can't do. And it's usually because it doesn't have enough resources. It runs out of tokens. It doesn't have the data, or it's just lazy and it doesn't listen. And so, because what happens is, you ask a question, everyone in the world asks the same question. ChatGPT is going to go to the same sources generally and give you the same data and information back. And that's where this whole everyone sounding the same comes from. And so the way to stop that is there's two ways. There's the writing style. You tell it how you want it to sound like you, and then it'll just reword it, the information to kind of fit you. And then the second is the data that it's doing. And so I'm trying to fix both of them. One is I'm going to scrape and go get data that ChatGPT can't get, hypothetically. Like I'm getting comments. ChatGPT doesn't go and get YouTube comments and TikTok comments. It doesn't even get that source of from that data. So I'm getting data can't even get. It probably legally can't even get. And then also I'm getting so much data that it's just too much that it doesn't make sense cost-wise. So what I end up doing is I end up scraping all of the data, and then I have an AI analyze that. So for example, like a blog, I'll have it scrape all the blogs, and then I'll have the AI read the blogs and then create additional columns, like what companies were mentioned in this blogs, what topics, what keywords, what trends. And then I'll put it in a vector database, which is like a digital brain, that I can do semantic search to millions of records. And ChatGPT might go after 50 of them, but now I have 1 million of them that I can go through in seconds, and I can get the full population of a topic. I can get everything, where ChatGPT will go out and get 1% of the topic and then act like that's truth. And that is that is the expert opinion, but they only go out and get 1% before it quits and then comes back. Where I'm grabbing all 100% and then going through it and then picking the pieces and then giving that to ChatGPT. I don't use ChatGPT, giving that to Claude, and then giving it my writing style. And then now I'm able to use Claude in my own language and give it data that it can't get and doesn't get. And that's why I can have it sound different than everyone else, because I have those two things. If you're just doing the same data of everyone else, it doesn't really matter. It's going to sound the same. You might have different word choice if you do writing styles, but it's going to sound the same. This is why the problem is so big right now.
You're so right.
Yeah.
It's going to sound the same.
No.
Go ahead, Zach. Were you going to say something else?
I was going to say that actually, I think, the topic you kind of introduced is the next one. I think that actually leads really nicely into that.
I do have to say, I love what you're doing on Reddit. Reddit freaks me out. And, hyper relevance is really key, as you guys were saying earlier, personalization is just like old news these days. Like no one cares if you know my name. Actually, if you know my name, I'm creeped out. Go away. Really great conversation on that first topic. And it was a good segue into AI and SEO. So navigating the no-click web, I know pre-show was a really great question by Tyler of like, what do you mean by that? So could we just start off with that? Like, what do you mean by the no-click web, Zachary?
Yeah. So it's definitely one of the buzzwords that's going out there. You'll see a lot of think pieces on it. There's a lot of blogs and articles, floating around on there. And really the philosophy of the no-click, web is that you go to, whether it's Google or ChatGPT or, Bing, if you if you haven't changed the settings on your browser since you bought your computer, you type in what you're looking for. I want to buy this thing. Tell me about the 10 best TVs, or I need this service. Help me find a plumber in the area. You put that in there, and it comes back in Gemini on Google or Copilot on Bing, or ChatGPT comes back and says, all right, great. Here's how you could fix that leaky sink yourself, or these are the pieces you might need, or here's a list of 4 or 5 plumbers in the area that have good reviews. And the theory is that you're going to do that, and you're never going to actually click on the plumber's website. And then it's the no-click web, right? You ask the question, you got your answer, you have it right there in the AI result. And so the no-click web is you never actually click to the website, which obviously from a lot of businesses perspective, that's a little terrifying, right? If you're not that plumber that was mentioned in that result, you're kind of done because you've got this great website that nobody's going to go to. Now, this is kind of a buzzword. It's totally overblown because it's not happening right now. Now, to an extent, yes, there are people that are not going that far, and they are getting the answer. A lot of times, though, right now, and again, things are constantly changing. That's great when you're looking for a do-it-yourself answer, right? Hey, I've got a leaky sink. Tell me how I can fix that myself, and AI might, be able to pull that off of, its model and give you an answer on that. But if you're actually looking for the plumber themselves, it doesn't always give you the contact information in there unless you do a follow-up question. Even if it does list them, a lot of times it's going to be a link back to that website. You're going to still a lot of times have that, or it's going to talk about plumbing, and then it's going to, in the citations, that's going to be the link back to an actual service provider. So it's not quite there yet. People do believe it's heading in that direction. And then one of the things that people are even more concerned about down the road, again from a business owner perspective or a business perspective, is that people will just use an AI bot basically to go do their shopping for them, and it will go ask an AI system to give them an answer, and it will come back with an answer, and then no one will actually be interacting directly with the AI answer itself. It will be a bot asking a bot to come back and give you an answer, because you've got a digital, an AI assistant, that's handling that for you. So that's kind of the philosophy behind the no-click web. So the catch there is, how do you become that, those 3 people that are in that answer when there are hundreds or thousands of service providers or products that could provide the same solution. And that's where it becomes very, very scary for every other business. So do only the big guys get it? Do only the chains or the franchises, with a national presence end up in that solution? Do only the products with a big brand name and a huge marketing budget end up there, and everybody else is just done because nobody goes beyond that, that AI answer? And that's where I think it opens up a lot of pitfalls for marketing people, for small businesses, and for frankly the market in general. What's that going to do from a consolidation and larger impact perspective? But when you talk about that personalization, you talk about that content, you talk about writing something and putting it out there that has meaning behind it. That's right now, and that's kind of where that transition I think came in from the last topic, is where currently that's how you're finding those answers in those AI results, is having actual meaningful content, having an actual answer, having something that isn't just I wrote an AI blog, put it up on my website for SEO purposes, and now hopefully I'm just going to show up in the search results or in the AI results, because right now that is just AI feeding on itself, which it doesn't want to do. So it's going to ignore the AI written content. It's Google is going to ignore it for search engine results as well. It's also going to ignore it for AI results. And so that's where I think we're we were talking about, where putting that extra layer of thought and effort into it and taking it in a different direction and putting that extra piece to it, or actually having humans touch that content and take it from, using AI for research and then taking it into something that has actual thought, has something behind it. Because again, AI feeding on itself doesn't benefit the AI systems, doesn't benefit the user. So there's a disincentive to use that content to promote that result. So that's where I think, currently, and again, it's going to probably change over time, there's still a lot of opportunity to use the human element to overcome the AI production to actually then get into the AI results. So that's kind of I guess the lay of the land as I see it. I'm curious what what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I was trying to find it while you were talking, but there was maybe a few months ago. I think it might have been the CEO of Shopify, but it was someone saying, like, in the last 12 months, like, he was comparing the ratio of, like, we give, as creators, we give Google the right to like get ads for our content. And he was saying, like, before it was like 10-1 or 20-1, like 3 years ago. Then last year was like 10-1, like 10 views per, and then like this year it was like 2-1. Like, it was something dramatic where it was, he was saying, like, it doesn't make sense anymore as like a contract between a creator and like Google. And it's because they're doing, like you said, everything is going into the AI chats and no one's ever even showing. So the creators are now being like, well, I'm building and creating all these things so that you can run ads, but then you're getting all of the reward also, and you're not even passing people to us because you're just getting the answers and giving it to them, right? Mm-hmm. And so the whole thing was like the system is going to break really soon because it just doesn't make sense anymore. Even me, like, I think I'm going to do like a private community, because I'm going to just like, Google, you can't have my stuff, and like people just going to sign up, and I'm not going to like make them pay, but like, because it doesn't make sense. Like, why, even me, like, why am I going to go to your blog when I have Google just summarize it in 5 seconds? Like, it doesn't make sense to click through. And so the only way that I think you can beat that is just not allow them to go. But if you don't allow them to go to your blog, then you're also losing on the other end. And so I think kind of
they can find it. How does somebody else find it?
Yeah. So I think like a private community thing might be a good move, because I also think social media is broken too. And so I think in the next few years, we're going to have new social medias. We're going to have new relationships between like everything is going to flip, because the economics and the relationship just doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah. And the question is, like, how are you going to prove whether or not, and this is a simplistic version of it, but how are you going to prove they respected the robots.txt file that said, don't crawl my site? Yeah, you're never going to be able to, yes, you can't look at my website. They're going to find a way to look at your website,
Yeah.
So yeah,
it probably hurts you also, like, because then you won't even get the chance to get into those reviews. So it's like a lose-lose situation almost.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're benefiting all of it, and we're just taking the L's. So that's what's like, something's going to break and it's going to change, because it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah. And that's where, I think a lot of like people in the creative space maybe have the opportunity to try to build that wall and say, no, you can't have my creative writing, you can't have my art to feed into those systems. But then it's the people that are, again, using a plumber as an example, right? And they write a blog about, how to take care of this, system on your own, but it would be a lot better if you just hired us to do it. And then Google just says, oh, this is how you fix that system, and never sends anybody to that article that then says, oh, and by the way, you should hire us. And they just lose all that value that they would have had if somebody came to that site and then said, what, on second thought, I am just going to hire that plumber, right? And that's where that starts to break down. I don't know if you saw recently, was it ChatGPT that put the deal in place with Etsy?
We're now Shopify too.
Yeah, where the small creators now can basically have their product directly sold through ChatGPT without ever going to the Etsy site, without having to go to any third-party merchant processing or anything. Just click buy directly through the chat result. That's going to be interesting too, because again, who decides which 3 products end up showing up in that
Yeah.
result if you can't kind of browse the catalog.
Jesse, I'll let you say something, but I had something I had a friend say maybe 2 years ago. When he said it, it sounded crazy, but he was like, what if you had a website and as soon as you go on it, it's just like an orb, like it's just a AI just ready to talk to you, no content, but just just someone that's ready to talk. And I was just like, man, that doesn't even sound right. Like people like scrolling, like they want to see something, but now I can see almost the web being like that, where there is no, it's just an orb sitting there and just like, what do you want? I'll go get it for you. Because like everything is kind of moving into this central thing. And even ChatGPT is going to turn into that. That's what they're trying to do, where everything just lives in there. And then I can see it where it's just the advanced voice. You just go in and you don't even go through anything anymore. Yeah. I mean, they have, I don't know if it was real, but they had like a ChatGPT like necklace with like a camera on it or something, where like you can walk around and it can see everything. And so like, I think it's just, everything is going to be frictionless, where you're literally just going to talk and everything happens. And then it gets to like, at that point where it's just like, all right, like now what? Like, and one part that I ran into myself was I would ask AI like its opinion first every time. And I noticed it would start messing up my creative thinking. And I would start thinking like, kind of like it would steer me in different directions that I would normally go into. And it's because I started giving me its thoughts first. And so now I always come up with my own ideas first before I go ask it, because I was noticing whenever I go ask it, I just got stuck in this little like lane that it was putting me in, and I couldn't even think for myself anymore. And so I started just like, I'm not even going to ask you first. I'm going to go write it myself and then see what you think. Otherwise, I just get stuck in that little lane that it puts. And that was just me learning like, oh man, like my creative thinking is going down. Like I'm sitting there
Tyler,
yelling.
You're a real game changer. Do I sound like a robot? You're a real game changer. It's not about this, it's about that. Like, they just have a certain way of structuring sentences. It's so easy to tell, like when you're using AI. And this has been such a great conversation. I don't even need to add any more to it, even though I could, but I want to make sure that we get to our third topic, which is AI automation, advanced segmentation for marketing growth. And we also have sales and AI, human first automation strategy. Ooh, I like that one. Yes, so we'll be getting into both of those topics right after this brief message from Cherry Assistant.
This is Mike, also known as Clean with Mike on Twitter. Mike hired a virtual assistant from Cherry Assistant about 2 years ago. Now he has a $50K per month business fully managed by a remote operator in South Africa. His VA from South Africa does the following: closing inbound leads on the phone, Yelp and Google and Facebook, manages his CRM and Go High Level, deals with rescheduling, cancellations, any issues, hires and manages the cleaners, and sends them daily reports and updates. Mike has a fully cash flowing business managed by a remote operator for only $8 an hour. You can also hire a US equivalent worker in the Philippines, South Africa, Latin America for a fraction of the cost with Cherry Assistant. Be like Mike and grow your business with offshore staff.
And if you're listening on podcast and you are not seeing the screen right now, then you will be missing the menu of services, including lead generation, CRM management, prospecting assistance, sales presentation preparation, data entry and cleanup, customer support, and project management assistant are some of the few things that you can get help with at Cherry Assistant. And just let them know that you heard about them through WinsDay, and you'll get $250 off your first month. But yeah, definitely check that out. And we mentioned High Level before the show. So if you tuned in late or you're just now hearing us on one of those social channels, scan this QR code or just go to reveting.com/high level and get 30 days free to try out High Level. You heard DJ in that last ad talking about Go High Level. You might know it as Go High Level, but they've rebranded as High Level. And it's a CRM and marketing automation platform, only $97 a month. And you get 3 accounts. So it's either 1 account and 2 sandboxes for yourself, or 1 account and 2 accounts for your clients. We've white labeled it as app.reveting.com. So, we've got lots and lots of accounts for our clients. All of our clients get an account. But I digress. We still have two hot guests here that we need to continue on with our third topic, which is AI automation, advanced segmentation for marketing growth. So Tyler, could you kick us off on this topic?
Yeah. See, this is the part I love. Like I said, being in data analytics, using the data is super powerful. And what I love about it now is so regular segmentation. I know that this is me assuming everyone knows segmentation, so I'll explain what that is. So let's say you're like leads is kind of the easiest one. So let's say you go on LinkedIn and you're pulling like their LinkedIn profile, you're getting their name, their job, their LinkedIn bio, their LinkedIn headline, how long they've been working. Like you're getting all of those fields. Then you can say like you can do logic, saying like, all right, if this person has only been working between 1 to 2 years, then they're a rookie. If between 2 to 5 years, they're intermediate to 5, and then you can create like a field that kind of tells you like how long they've been working, and that's like a segment. Or you can be like, if this person is in these types of like executive type levels, like manager, director, then they're executive. If not, then they're non-executive. That would be like another column. So there are these like if-then statement logical segmentations, which is what we always been doing. Now, using LLMs or AI, you can do things of like read their bio, and then like I said, like, do they have an ego or do they not have an ego? And you can like read their whole bio and figure out like that just by kind of how they write about themselves. And then you can read their post and be like, all right, like what is like, for example, on me, like, does the person like Claude or the person likes ChatGPT? And it's usually different type of people that like either one. And then you can be like, all right, does this person talk casual or this person talk professional? And so you can use the AI to analyze the actual written content to create these new segmentations. And then at that point, it's like unlimited. You think it, you can create it. And so I started using the AI to do those. And like, for example, I got their LinkedIn info, and then you can go out and grab additional data, like go out and get their X, because then they talk different on X. And then go out and get their podcast and then transcribe their podcast. And now you got additional. So then you can just build out that list. And now once you have that list and all those columns, then you're just having fun figuring out what angle you can use to go get at them, right? And so then it's like, all right, they talk very casual. Let me talk very casual on the email. They like these things, that let me kind of mention those things. And you just kind of play with it. And then it's kind of like you get unlimited creativity now. And you can create, literally unlimited segments to filter and then email these people. And then even like I said in that last example where I was creating like custom dashboards and then emailing it to them. I did one where it was a real estate school, and I did like a little fake real estate licensing school like certificate, and then like put their name on it, and then put like a little AI note that was like custom to them. Because they like read their LinkedIn or something, and it was like a little like congratulation note that was kind of like funny, and it was like, oh, like you moved from executive recruiting to now selling houses to executives, and like something like wordplay, but it was custom to them, and then embedding that into the email and sending it to them. And so like you just can do these crazy like creative things now with these AI models that you could never do before. And like that, it's crazy because like this thing I'm saying, no one's really even doing, but it's still not even impressive. And it's because it's like someone's looking at it like, oh yeah, that's cool, but AI did it. Like, let me go talk to Joe over here that said hi. And so like you're almost trying to act like you're not AI. I even did it where right. I purposely misspelled words so that they didn't think I was AI.
Right. Or like punctuation.
And it's like you're literally just trying to pretend like you're not AI, even though the stuff is super valuable. Everyone just puts a wall up, or like the M dash, right? And it's like a long dash thing. And the AI just wants, and I'm just like, I have like threats at the end of every single prompt. It's like, if you ever put that, I will never talk to you again. And it still puts it. And so there's these little things that humans look for, and it's just automatically be like, oh, nope, I'm not reading that AI. And so it's just this kind of, it's a crazy kind of time right now where there's no trust. Every like authenticity is huge. But then you're like, well, I got this stuff that can make it more powerful. And like, yeah, I don't care. And then you're like, well, I can't scale myself. So it's just the segmentation, I think, is super powerful because you're not using AI to try to trick them anymore of like, I'm going to make an AI message and give it to them. It's more like, I'm going to segment you in such a way where the message that I write, I can write to 1,000 people, but it's going to land because I put you in this small little box that I know it's you. And so I wrote the message, but it's super segmented so where the human wrote it, but the AI created the segment, if that makes sense. I feel like that's the best way of using it.
AI created the segment. Okay. I love that. That's such a great topic. And I love, just everything that you mentioned. I was cracking up about, trying to act like we're not AI. Cause I mean, is that real or is that real? I see there were 7 people in LinkedIn and, we've got 3 on some of the other channels here. What do you all think? Like, how are you hiding that you're not using AI, even though you are? Like, let's just all be real. We really are. So what are some of the other things? Like I mentioned the word game changer earlier. Yeah, you can't use that anymore. He mentioned the M dash, sometimes emojis, but yeah, just would love to hear from the audience. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments on any of this, let us know. We want to hear from you. But Zachary, what's your take on all of this?
Yeah, I mean, the kind of trying to mask that you're using, AI is certainly one of the challenges that I see a lot of people going through. And I think from my philosophy, and this is coming from somebody who runs a marketing agency. So like for us, AI is a great tool for research. It's a great tool, like Tyler's talking about, for segmentation. It's a great tool for gathering information, for inspiration, for looking at competition, for breaking down data, for even just researching topics. We still use a lot of human man hours on actual writing content. And that's, our approach to it. Now that's not, practical for everybody who doesn't have, the resource of a marketing agency, where, that's what we do. But the value we see there is that it does tend to outperform, AI written content when it comes to SEO and AEO, the, AI engine optimization, which is, more and more important, simply because AI doesn't want to feed on itself, and the search engines don't want, to promote AI content because it's not valuable to a human user when they get to it, because it's repetitive, regurgitated, stuff. It's came from somewhere, and it, is the same stuff you're going to get somewhere else. So there's still a lot of value in actually having the human be the end output, even if you are using AI for, a lot of the back office stuff that, you might have, had a research assistant do in the past. Now that's not practical in all cases. And obviously there's, scenarios where it's really nice to have AI write a quick email for you. And, then you go back and you polish it up. But again, how often is going and, having AI write the email for you faster than just writing the email, because you're gonna have to go fix all the stuff AI did anyway, right? And like you said, Tyler, it's so frustrating. Like, you make it explicitly clear what you want the AI to do and not to do, and it still does it, or it doesn't do what you want it to do, and then you spend, another 10 minutes changing the prompt or telling it to correct it, and you're just fighting with it. So there's still a lot to be desired, I think, on that front. So yes, you can try to mask it, but I do think there's still a lot of value in, actually doing the end part of the work yourself.
Well, I'll tell you ways that I've kind of figured out how to beat the system, I would say, with the email part. And this, of course, everyone's not gonna be able to do this, but with the email part, I connected to the Gmail API. I grabbed all of my sent emails, and I had it process each one of them and create a framework of how I speak. And it's and it's more like, it's scientifically, it's like, this is how you speak. He used like 1 to 2 sentences max, and then does a line break, and then like use the terms. And so I had it analyze all of the emails, and I did it like in batches, because you can't give it all. And then created this framework where like, this is how he speaks, this is his writing style, this is it. And it's like, I created a project with like 5 or 6 documents of like, this is his vibe. This is his framework. This is how he writes business. And then I do voice messages where like I talk, and then it creates it into a polished, kind of voice or email. And so like that is, I mean, I don't have to edit that because and generally my writing style prompts are like, keep my word choice, keep my tone, just clean it up and kind of just make it presentable. And especially when you do voice to text like that works very well. And so that's how I kind of got around that part of it. For the content, that was hard because at first I was like, I'm doing all this crazy stuff with intelligence. I was like, my content is going to be better than everybody, which to me it was as far as everybody's AI, like content wise, because it was like literally like how I did YouTube videos was I would go out and watch every YouTube video, read every blog, get all the best insights, get my insights, and then create my YouTube video. And that's how I got 19 videos and 13,000 subscribers, because I spent days consolidating all the experts' opinions to make sure that like it's the best of the best. And so that same concept I did with the intelligence. Like I'm going out and getting all the pain points. I'm going out and getting all the blogs, all the YouTube videos. And now I'm doing that at scale, and I'm getting everybody's ideas, everybody's recommendations, everyone's creativity, and I'm consolidating it into one piece. And I know it's better than everyone else's because I kind of repurpose everyone else's, right? But if it still sounds like AI, it still sounds like AI. And so what I'm doing now is instead I'm using AI to create what I'm calling like intelligent reports, where it's like GEO, right? Like it goes out and scrapes all of the talking around it, and I'm like 15% of the people talking about this topics across YouTube, this says this about GEO. 12% says this. Here are the tips. And then I'll go to like Reddit and be like, but like in Reddit discussions, they're saying this, and then this is the difference between what creators are saying and between people actually using it. And so I'm using it more as like this intelligence engine. And then I'll use that to be like, all right, and then talk about it. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to use AI for content, but not to like trick people. Like I wrote this blog, more of like I'm using it to create intelligence to then write about.
Yeah.
You're on mute.
I said, yeah, that people can actually find useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
And like you said, it's you're pulling research, you're finding information, you're assembling it, you're putting it together. You're using AI to put it into your voice. But it's the research side of it. It's the gathering information side of it. It's the things you would have had spent hours researching in the past, and you're assembling it together. And ultimately you're putting it back through your own filter. So
yeah. And looking at pain points at scale, I loved how you mentioned that. But we could talk about this, I'm sure, all day. But Layla, could you bring up our fourth topic? We've got sales and AI, human first automation strategy. So Zachary, can you kick us off on our last topic?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we've kind of already started, I think, a little bit on that. When we talk about segmentation, we talk about, the messaging, we talk about the data gathering, there's a lot of that that we're already, discussing, I think. But yeah, a lot of that is, breaking down how relevant can you be to the person at the right time. And it's one of those things where you think about how much information we're all hit with every day, day in, day out. We get ads, we get messages, we get cold messages on LinkedIn, we get cold emails, we get ads that pop up. And that's on top of all the stuff we actually are planning on receiving information-wise. So we're just being completely inundated with this information. But when something actually pops up that is relevant to what you're thinking about right now, what problems you're facing, all of a sudden it breaks through the noise. And that's where the human first part of this automation, the human first part of this comes through is, can you speak to that person at their level at the right time based on what they're looking for in that moment? And that's where, I think the key to sales and marketing really comes out of all of this. Is can you use AI to maximize that capability? And that's where, intent research comes in is what is somebody, in the market for right now. And that's based on, what are their activities online? What are their activities engaging or not engaging with the content that you are putting out? What are they searching for? What are they, what kind of pain points that they have? Using that to build your audience, but then also as you create your content, how do you speak to what that person's looking for? And I think Tyler, you brought up a really interesting point with the the Reddit side of things, right? Is going into those communities and going, hey, what are people discussing? What are they complaining about? What are the issues they're facing? And then working backwards from that. And that's, market research, right? It's going out and hearing, what the complaints are, what the issues are, what people are looking for. And so, how can you do that at scale? And again, kind of going back to it, it's kind of sales 101. But you can do it in a way that isn't, for us old people who saw like the boiler room, right, where it's just you pick up the phone and you call 1,000 people a day and you hope that you get one person on the line that you can have a longer conversation with and hit them where they live and start the sales process with them. Can you do that at scale using AI, where you can filter out all the people you shouldn't be talking to and get your content, your face, your brand, whatever it is, in front of them when they need it? And that's where I think there's a huge amount of value. And obviously, we've touched on a lot of these individual pieces, and I think, through this conversation. So I'm kind of curious, as we bring that all back together, is the practical execution on this is not only can we get that data, not only can we create that content, but then once we do have that person engaged, what do we do next? We started it. How do we actually continue now as a human to human and continue that process through? But again, can AI support us in that? And that's where nurturing systems come in. That's where follow-ups can come in. And that's where, you would talk about using, AI systems for email and things like that can be really, really valuable, is taking, notes out of, your CRM of what you have to actually talk to that person about in a meeting. Having that come into your follow-up email that gets triggered when you move somebody from one sales funnel step to another sales funnel step, right? And using that type of AI to basically take some of that labor out of that next step. Even what you talk about with voice notes and using that to translate it into an email, because voice to text is not the best way to put together an outgoing message. And I'm sure anybody who's mom has ever voice to text you, you've gotten some interesting text messages that way. It doesn't really work that well when you're trying to do it, stream of consciousness. But if you can actually have the AI take what you're trying to say verbally, put it into an email and associate it with that follow-up, there's a lot of opportunity there. And that's where automation systems and platforms come in. And, obviously there's, a lot of different ones out there. Some have better support systems and AI integrations than others. But the idea is, can we use that to keep that that individualization now that we've got in front of them? We got the the engagement, and now we're actually having that conversation. Can AI help support us through that process and keep that connection going?
Yeah, so I'm gonna bring up a topic that I'm not sure if you wanted to go this route, but I used a tool before where, so I don't like sales personally. I'm more of I build it and they come person and just close my eyes and hope they come, which is not good. But I never liked sales. Even like my sales calls, I'm like talking to them like they're my friend, and I'm like, hey, you can do what you want, like, but this is what I would do, and that's always worked for me. But trying to actually do sales was harder. Like the outbound, like trying to like force the conversation, it just was unnatural to me. And what I started doing was in the other company I worked for, I would kind of just sit on their calls and just kind of learn like how they did it. And what I was noticing was like people were not picking up on cues very good. Like I'm really good at like listening to people and knowing who they are. Like I can generally tell within a few minutes if I'm going to like the person or not. And my personality is like, you're going to know I don't like you very quickly. And because but I know just because I just have that thing where I can feel that person and I'm like, I'm not going to get along with this person. And like in the meetings, I can kind of tell like what people's personality types are and what would resonate with them, what wouldn't. And so I was on this call, and one of the salesperson was like really kind of like drilling him, and it was like making him uncomfortable. And the words he were using, I could tell he was uncomfortable, but the other guy didn't get the hint. And I had to like slack him, like, hey man, chill out, like back up, because you can kind of like tell he was very a passive guy, and the other guy was aggressive, and he was just feeling like you could tell he was uncomfortable. And so I got this one tool where the AI would like listen on the call and like tell you kind of like this is like live transcription, and it would kind of tell you like what's going on, what you should ask. You can even like pre-train it a little bit to say like, all right, what kind of personality this person has, so then I can like talk a certain way to them, and you can put in these like little triggers where you can then adjust live on the call, and the AI will like give you like I did a way where I was like, all right, whenever he says something that I can like angle it in a way to pitching something that I want to pitch, like cue me up, like do a notification so I can do it, and then like tell me how to do it. And so like you can do it like live now on the calls using AI to look at the transcripts to help. And then on top of that, like what I also like doing is in between the sales calls, I always give them like more value. I'll give them like, here's a competitive analysis report. Here is a writing style, and like giving them just this value using the AI throughout the sales process, so that like it doesn't, a day or two doesn't really pass without me being like, here goes some more stuff. Here goes some more stuff. And so I feel like using AI in that way is also super powerful.
100%.
Yeah.
Would you like to react to that, Zachary?
Actually, just more of an anecdote than anything, but you're talking about the tool that kind of supports you through the conversation, and helps maybe prompt you in different directions. We had somebody we were doing a job interview with probably about a year ago, and I would bet money they were using that system, because of the delay in answers, and the very generic, repetitive answers that we were getting, and the fact that it was a remote interview, so they could very easily have that right off to the side of the camera there. But it was very interesting kind of watching that delay of a response. And then we would ask a follow-up question, and the response was basically the same answer back without any depth on that follow-up. And it was like talking to a chatbot. And I'm not saying that that's all those systems, but it was just kind of a very interesting experience, because it was the first time we had really encountered that, and it was painfully and uncomfortably obvious. So I'm sure they've improved, and I'm sure there's better ones out there, but it's definitely just a kind of a one of those things I think people are going to be seeing more and more. And then I think there's also going to be that filter of who are you really interacting with, a human or an AI. And again, I think that's that human level that ultimately people are I think going to be trying to filter for more and more.
Yeah, and so like, I'm gonna let you keep going, but it was like notifications. It was kind of like just single words, like chill out, or like slow down, or like let the person talk. Like it wasn't like I'm like you're reading it. It was just more like, oh, like man, you're rambling. Like let like, and so it was just like these notifications that you would kind of put these things in the beginning before the meeting, and so that because I mean when you're getting on the meeting, like sometimes you're just rambling, and like you don't even realize it. Like, dude, you've been talking for 10 minutes.
It's true.
Yeah. So like it gives you these like little notifications, and you just see it, and you're not like reading it and like trying to like talk. It's just more of a like these little cues, and it works better when you're on like a call with multiple people, where you're not just like looking at them and then you're over here looking. Like if this person having a conversation, you can like look over here and then like pitch in, be like, oh, like, well, what do you think about this? But I see it, but like it got to like 5 seconds as far as like real live transcription. So I feel like it's going to be really valuable for salespeople.
Well, on that note, I think that's my human cue to move us into the guru of the week. Ooh, the guru of the week. And so drum roll, please. Take it away.
All right, I'll go. So mine is Chisto. I don't know how to say his name exactly, but it's because he does infographics, and me being a data person and on LinkedIn, everyone loves infographics for some reason. I mean, I do like them too, but it's like that is the number one thing, is how can I get as much info on an image and get people to share it. And his designs are just really elegant. And so, I would check out his, because being just a data visualization person and having beautiful designs that are elegant but still informational on your LinkedIn is super important. And I mean, he creates like these whole little brand kits for you, that just consistent, and it just makes your LinkedIn infographics look really nice.
Great. And so Frankie Manis, he started an agency called Media 43 back about 5 years ago during the COVID doldrums, and he's built something I think really interesting there as far as a smaller agency. But the reason I thought it would be interesting, kind of in concert with this conversation, is that it's a social media, but more so an influencer agency. And so the idea there of bringing that human touch and that human connection kind of back in, of that semi-authentic, because obviously when we talk about influencers, but having that human endorsement with a product or a service tied to it, where there's that human voice to it, rather than just necessarily the AI voice, or that written voice coming in from the ether, but actually having that human connection there. And so he's built, I think, a really interesting agency there with some great influencers in his group of partners, but then also being able to bring brands to other influencers as well.
Cool.
I love that. So cool. Thank you both for sharing your guru of the week. And I know we're a little bit over time, so let me know if you don't have time. We did get a couple questions in the comments. Do both of you mind if I pull them up really quick?
Great.
Okay, let's get into it. So real quick, we have Nelia. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Just let me know. But she's asking, are there any tools you use to humanize AI content? Either of you have anything?
Yeah. Claude is the best when it comes to writing like a human. And the writing styles you have to, so that Claude has, between Claude and ChatGPT doesn't have writing styles. Writing styles is like you tell, like I have one called Keep It 100, where like it literally like tells you suck, this is not good. Like it plays the devil's advocate on everything, because as everyone knows, ChatGPT just agrees with you, and you're like, man, why are you agreeing with everything? Like, no, that's not even true. They're like, yeah, you're right. And so like this, like pretty much like just tells you how it is. And then I have another one, Keep It 100 -1, where it's like, like, don't make me cry, but like still, keep it real. And so like these writing styles, you have to give it the information so that it writes just like it, like kind of like the data is what makes it. So like for me, like giving it all my email history, giving it all the blog posts that you actually wrote, or all your LinkedIn that you actually wrote, and then having it train on that, then it will humanize that. But if you just try to say like, hey, give me a writing style about a founder that this, and this, it's going to sound like everyone else. And so you have to give it a lot of your own data to have it write like you, or else it won't. And I found Claude's writing style is the best when it comes to that.
I love that. What about you, Zachary? What would you say?
Yeah, so I'm going to take it in a slightly different direction, because I think that's a great answer for the actual generation of the content. I'm actually going to take it in a slightly different direction. There's a platform I really like called Accessibility, which is basically an AI system to plug into a website that basically increases its accessibility for basically ADA compliance and people with disabilities, et cetera. So it basically runs through your website, looks for missing alt tags, and looks at images and creates descriptions for them behind the scenes, so people who need a screen reader to tell them what they're looking at. It can also basically summarize content for people who need that. It can take that content and voice read it back. It has a lot of great tools from an AI perspective to basically take your website as it currently exists and turn it into something that has a lot of great capabilities for people with different needs for interacting with your content.
Awesome. Thank you both for sharing that. Another quick question was, how can small and mid-sized businesses integrate AI-driven SEO and sales automation effectively without adding unnecessary complexity? Anyone have a quick answer on that one?
I'll let you go.
I mean, I think that's a little bit of a trick question there, because if you want to do it right, there's a lot of layers to it, and I think honestly, I think a lot of the things that have been brought up today kind of talk about that of using it to gather data and then putting it through another layer and getting it to a final usable product. That being said, I think there's some tools that you could put into place, and a lot of those are going to be tied to if you're looking for kind of the more straightforward way to do it would be kind of your all-in-one sort of systems, which are going to be tied towards like marketing automation, CRMs, and things like that. So, a HubSpot, for example, they're really promoting their loop marketing philosophy right now, which is taking their integrated AI systems, and it integrates with like ChatGPT and Claude and other systems. But basically, using that through their marketing automation platform to generate the different workflows and content and responses and emails and all those kind of things. And there's other platforms that have similar built-in tools. So if you're kind of looking for the unnecessary complexity part of it, it would be something that has a lot of those functions that have been in place already, and now we're starting to integrate AI. I think if you really want to do it correctly and the right way, I think there's a lot of kind of complexity baked into your question, naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big question. And I think you did a really great job addressing it, Zachary. So thank you so much for taking that one on for us. But before we go, we have real quick, I want to make sure we tell you about next week's guest. But before we do, I want to invite both of you to share a little bit more about yourself, exactly what it is you do, who you serve, how you serve them, and if they could be served by you, how can they reach you? Tyler?
Yeah. So my company is called Relentless Labs .ai or .io. And pretty much I created this like 12-month program where phase one is I go in and teach the leadership how to use AI, what AI is, what's the best use case. And then I created a Chrome extension where I start collecting all of the use cases from all the employees while they record their screens. And then phase two is I then create like a community, a Discord group where I bring in all of the employees, teach them how to use it. And then phase three is I have like 15 different accelerators I built where I'll start implementing these AI systems that I kind of been talking about. And then phase four is I start building out the custom systems. And so I kind of come in as a partner and do the whole AI transformation for generally small to medium-sized businesses.
Thank you so much for that. And then Zachary, how about you?
Yeah. So I guess, you guys might have picked up on it. My background actually is in sales. I just started out selling for marketing agencies, and that's how I got into starting my own, 16 years ago. And so what I really, I think, tried to build is a marketing agency that is very much sales oriented. So the idea here is if we're not generating sales opportunities, what are we doing? So that's really how we emphasize and focus. And so what I really tried to build here is an outsourced marketing department for established small to mid-size businesses. So the idea is, what you would have at an enterprise level when you've got a marketing department down the hall with 15 specialists all ready to go and do your copywriting, graphic design, your media buying, all your systems, everything else. We're taking care of that for our clients on a fractional basis, where we bring that diversity of specialists to bear, but at the right volume for that particular client. And so the idea here is how much can we just basically do for you, get it taken care of, generate the leads. You're getting reports showing this is where your marketing effort went, this is what you got for it. You pick up the phone, you answer the form fills, you take it from there and get those deals closed, but we're generating those opportunities. And so it's the agency is Real Fig Advertising and Marketing at Fig. It's figadvertising.com, and certainly you can reach out there if anyone has any follow-up questions. Also happy to have those conversations too.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for sharing everything tonight. I mean, your thought leadership, where people can reach you, your life story. It was really a rich conversation. So appreciate that. And there was just natural flow. I didn't really have to ask too many questions or probe anything to keep us going. So really appreciate when we can have a really natural conversation. So thank you again both for staying up online with us tonight for WinsDay. And before we go, I want to make sure and share with everyone next week's guest. So next week, we are bringing on, sorry about that. We've got Anthony Shane May and James Epsey. So if you're on the Reveting page, just go down to the next event and make sure that you register so you get a notification for it. But other than that, I hope everyone has a really great evening. Thanks again, Zachary and Tyler, for joining. And if you can, stick around for the local recording upload. But I'll close out everyone else in the audience with an outro video. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.